Good morning, Mike Whaley, Mr. Ryan Buttram. How are you guys doing this morning? Adjust my camera a little bit there. Come on. Got too much tension on the cord. Never let the machines win. Mr. Buttram is tired this morning. I hear you. Stayed up a little late myself last night. John Mack, good morning. Yeah, sorry I couldn't jump into the Hangouts with you guys last night, but I was already in bed with the wife, and I don't think the wife would have taken kindly to me jumping on a jumping on a Google Hangouts, laying in bed next to her. she'd have probably strung me up good. James, good morning. Just leaving for work. I'm glad you stopped by, though, man. I hope you're doing well. I know I know when my wife is out of town and I'm not with her, because she goes back once a month to St. Louis to help take care of some things there for her dad, and I know it's just a couple days that she's gone, and in those couple days I don't sleep well. I don't. I've grown so accustomed to having her, there with me. It's tough. So I feel for you, brother. I do. But I hope everybody's doing well this morning. I'm not totally awake yet myself. My music stream last night was really cool. And I know Walter's not here right now, but he sent it out. He promoted it on Twitter and stuff last night, and a lot of 3D peeps came by and watched my music stream last night, including John from You Do It, and then the one that was surprising and so cool, Joel Telling came into my music stream last night and watched, and he even left me a tip, which was it was surreal, man. Really, because Joel, Joel is one of the biggest, I guess, the 3D printing celebrities there is, and he stopped by and he left me a tip, and he left a comment on it that said good singing, and he said he's going to plan on stopping in and seeing more of my music streams, which is totally cool. I never would have expected that in a million years. So, Chris Riley, good morning. Can't type, but going to listen on the way to work. Well, you have a good day at work, sir, and I look forward to that T-shirt that you're sending me, man. I really do. That's cool. I will wear it on one of these streams. So, and this morning it's Peter from Family Guy is who I'm wearing this morning, but I will wear it. I will wear my Chris's Basement T-shirt when I get it. I will. So, I thought today I would work on iterating some design stuff on some things I've already made and that need some attention. And I don't know, maybe, if we get done with those things, continue working on some of the stuff that that has been in progress for a while, bring them closer to completion. And good morning, Slug. How are things in Kentucky this morning? I mean, I'm only a mile away from Kentucky, but things can change in a mile, and I don't know where you're at in Kentucky. Good morning, 3D Maker Kid. I'm doing well. Tired still, a little. Not still waking up. You're close to the Tennessee border. Cool, man. Well, I live in Clarksville, so um, just off exit one, off I-24. So I'm literally 1 mile from Kentucky. Good morning, Techno Geek. Good morning, Minnesota Maker. Glad you guys could all be here today. And I gotta get my modeling software open. Oh, I know I already had it open. It was just down there, minimized. Okay, cool. Let's go to the screen share. And we are. I was working last night before my music stream on my dumpster because I had one guy make it and put it up on Thingiverse, and you know his make looked great, but he complained about the lids and the hinges on it. So I redesigned it a little bit with the hopes that it can be printed as one piece. Of course, it'll take longer to print, but I needed to leave the lids open to do this so that it didn't have to fill the entire box with supports in order to print the lids. So this hasn't been tested yet, but this is a proof of concept, I guess. I thickened up the hinge considerably, and I'm hoping I left enough room around it so that when it fills up this area and this area with support a little bit, that it's thick enough and strong enough that it should be able to break that support and do a print and place hinge with it without breaking the lid. So that will definitely require some care, and it may not work, but I figured I'd give it a try. I need to get my chat brought up here. I'm learning Fusion right now, 3D Maker Kid, but I'm not comfortable enough with it yet to use it as the primary modeling software. I'm most comfortable with Blender. Well, actually, I'm probably most comfortable with 3D Studio Max, but I no longer have a copy of that, and I'm not spending the amount of money it costs to get 3D Studio Max. Scalda, good morning, sir. Oh, and Roy Holly, here you are. Glad you could be here, and thank you for testing the version 2 of the cab that I iterated the other day. Yeah, right now I'm trying to learn off of Lars Christensen. My vacation was great, Techno Geek. It was much needed to get away from Broadway for a few days because sometimes Broadway just gets to be a little much, and mostly it's the behaviors of of the tourists that gets to be a little much, and you just got to get away from it for a little while. So I was glad to go and spend a little time on the beach, spend some time with the family, out swimming in the ocean. Yeah, I like Lars's videos, and he does lots of live stream stuff too, and he's a whole lot more organized than I am with my live streams. I, I can't seem to get a plan together, but I think it's because I just, I need some time to sit down and make a plan. Instead, I just end up flying off the cuff on these things every morning because by the time I walk up the stairs here, it's like 15 minutes until I got to start the stream, and I'm not good at sitting down and planning the night before, which is when I need to do it. So yeah, anyway, I thickened up the hinges on the dumpster. and design them to be print in place, and hopefully it works. We'll have to print one to find out. I'm hoping the lids will be structurally sound enough to break free the supports inside the hinge. But that's where the dumpster currently sits. I put it up on Thingiverse, so if anybody out there wants to take a stab at the new design and be the first one to test it, feel free. All right. We're going to work on. That's one I need to continue. Oh, yeah. So last night when I stopped into Canadian Maker Projects Google Hangouts thing, Apocalypse Survivor was in there, and he had printed the traffic divider, the traffic barrier that I made, and it fit together, but he did say that it didn't hold together very well. Now I don't think it's not really designed to be like clicked together like completely, but it looked like it maybe need a little tightening up on the tolerances. So maybe we'll open that up this morning and we'll visit that. So that is under. Is that under component? No, not under components. What is it? Accessories? Yeah, accessories, traffic. Is that barrier 2? Yeah. So there's the traffic barrier. And so what I think, and I'm just going to delete that one. And delete that one. Because it's just a copy. I can copy it pretty quick. Do I not have that in there? Oh, man. See? Yeah, that's why I need you guys. I need you guys to help me. Because I am not that organized. Let me see. Let me go to my profile on Thingiverse. And there's something new on the dashboard. Okay. Oh, Scalda made Max R 525's Google Home Mini Wall Surface Mount. All right, my profile. Let's see if I can change the description here. Yeah, you're right. I do not have it in there. All right. Download and print my designs from Thingiverse. There we go. All right, added to the video description. You guys might have to refresh in order for that to show up, but yeah, I added it to the video description. So now the Thingiverse link should be there. It said my changes were saved. Good morning, Ed. Does anybody know a good way to, because another type of a barrier I would like to put above this is I would like to design a chain link barrier, but actually designing actual chain link would be really tough. I'm wondering if I couldn't get away with just kind of designing a grid. And wondering, not sure what the easiest way to go about doing that would be. All right, so let's iterate the design. That's what we're here for today, is to do some design iteration. So I'm going to hit 7 to go to the top-down view. So 7 gives you the top view on your number pad keys. So since it slid together well, but he said it had maybe too much um, room, and Apocalypse Survivor suggested maybe just increasing the size a little bit on the positive piece that sticks out the end. We will try, James. I will try, and thank you for stopping by, brother. Have a great day at work, and we'll see you soon. If there's anybody out there watching that's just lurking in the background that is not subscribed to the channel, quick reminder to click that subscribe, ring that bell, all that stuff. So we're going to go to vertices. I'm going to hit Z to go into wireframe mode. That allows me, when I make a selection, to select all the way through the model. I hit B to do a box selection, click, drag, and hold to select all of those vertices. I can go out of wireframe mode. You can see because I was in wireframe, when I made my selection, it selected the top ones and the bottom ones. Had I not been in wireframe mode and I did that box selection, I only would have selected the top ones. So we'll go back into top view. And I wonder if maybe slide that out a little bit. And then maybe scale it out just a touch too. Now the problem with scaling that the way that I just did is it's going to, yeah, I did. It scales in all directions, and I can scale and lock it to one axis, but I haven't found a way to isolate two axes at once. And I guess, you know, I don't know if that's even possible in Blender. So what happens is when you just scale it normally, it scales in all three directions. And right there, I only really wanted it to scale in X and Y. So as you can see, it scaled in the Z as well and caused it to fan out a little bit in this direction, in the Z direction. So what I end up doing there is hitting scale again, but then hitting the Z key to constrain it to just the Z and pulling it back in on that. That's the only way I've found to do that so far, because you can isolate it to one axis when you're doing a scale by just pressing X, Y, or Z. You can constrain it to only scale in those. But if I just hit scale, it scales it in X, Y, and Z. So whenever I need something to scale both in X and Y, but not in Z, I just scale the whole thing and then go back to it and scale it again, constraining it to the Z, and then bringing it back in line. All right, so now that we changed this side, it's going to have affected where it connects in on the other side. So the best way that I know to fix that for me is I'm going to, if you hold down Shift and you hit the D key, you will make a duplicate of whatever you have selected. I'm going to click Y to constrain moving it to just the Y. Go back down into top-down view here. And if you hit G, G is a general like move key. So the hotkey for this is G, and then you can constrain it to an axis as well. So I want to constrain it to only move in the Y axis so I can get these lined up. Okay, so now we've got that moved into place. So we're going to select this one. We're going to hit Tab to move into Edit View. I'll tab out of Edit View for a second. I'm going to click on the barrier here, the wall extension, and I'm going to hit H to hide it because it's in my way. Now I'm going to go back into Edit View for this. I'm going to get in here close because I'm going to need to select all the vertices for the negative part in here. Actually, I bet there's an easier way for me to do this. Hold on. I'm going to undo that. You can go into edge select mode. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt key and press that and grab everything along that ring. And I'll hold down Shift and Alt. That's not the ring. I'm trying to select that ring there. Why is it not selecting it? Well, I guess that's the one from the other piece, isn't it? All right. And I don't want that one or that one. Scale that out a little bit. And then we're going to hit Z to, or scale, and then constrain it to the Z to move it back in there. Okay, now that should have fixed this side. Good morning, Matrix. That should have fixed that, made it a little bit bigger, and we increased the width and size a little bit of the parts that stick out. Now, we're going to delete this one because it's no longer what we need it to be. We're going to copy this one again because now it should be improved on both sides there. Copy it, constrain it to the Y direction. Okay, so I left a little space right in here, as you can see, um, to give a little wiggle room as it goes in, but it should have a little tighter tolerances than what it did now that I've increased the size of the opening, but I didn't give it as much clearance as it previously had. So hopefully that will fix the issue. I'm going to save it as a different version in case this doesn't work out, though. We're going to call this barrier 3. For the most part, I'm just eyeballing it because I can see when I'm looking here what my tolerances are and how much room I have, because I can move it and straight it to the Y. And I can see now if you press them all the way together, that's where we're at, and that's not much of a gap. And since these are printed as 2 separate pieces, a lot of times you will have a little bit of where the plastic pushes out a little bit past the constraints of the part, depending upon your printer. And so I got to try to leave enough clearances so that and tolerances that when printed on multiple different machines, that will work out. But it should be a little tighter than it was. I don't want to get it. I don't want to make it too tight though, because even his where it was at when he put it together, it pretty well held itself together until he like wiggled or pulled a little bit, then it popped apart. Which, they're not meant to be like firmly locking. They're just meant to connect together so that you could slide them around on your diorama board or game board or whatever you wanted to print these for. Because these are, the orange and white plastic traffic barriers that you see all over the place. And what inspired me to make these was that I walk past them every day in Nashville with all the construction going on. So I walk past things like this and I see them all the time. So I was like, it might be kind of cool to design those in 1/18 scale, and people could use them for their dioramas for 1/18 scale stuff. G.I. Joe, Marvel Universe. There's a bunch of other 1/18 scale figures out there, and also 1/18 scale like die-cast car collectors. So those guys can print them out and use them for a diorama, which is why I'm also working on things like a gas pump. I want to make a gas station that you can print out and assemble, and I've got the gas pump already almost done for the modern gas pump anyway, and I think there's a good market, as it were, for that, just because of not only does it meet the action figure needs, but also some of the die-cast guys would be able to use it in printing dioramas for their cars. Yeah, I still have a whole lot of work to do on a lot of my models, but Roy Holly, who's was in here a minute ago, if he's still here. Oh, good morning, Vince. He was kind enough to, I made a iteration to the truck cab the other day, and to make the hinges print in place for it, and he was kind enough to spend the time and the plastic to print it. He printed it out, and we found a new mistake that I made when I did it, but I fixed that since. I've uploaded version 2 of the cab to Thingiverse, so now the doors print on the cab as one piece. The downside to version 2 of the cab is it does require a great deal of supports. And so that led me to try a version 3, which we'll go to Thingiverse here real quick. Drag this over. Go to Thingiverse real quick, and we'll go into my things. So I made a version 3 of the cab and put it up on Thingiverse as well. Version 3 of the cab to alleviate using supports prints the roof as a separate piece and takes the steps and removes them from the main body of it to be printed next to it. So then you just need a little assembly, but it should decrease the amount of supports because those sat lower than the body of the truck. So it would start with printing those, and then it would fill all that up with support until it got to the bottom of there. So now it still has to fill this up with support, and there's really no way around that unless you print it in a different orientation. And the hinges are print in place, but taking the roof off, it now no longer has to fill up the entire box inside here with supports in order to print the roof. So I thought, with this model, you're doing a lot of assembly and gluing and stuff anyway. What's a little bit more assembly and gluing? So I broke the cab apart that way. And I can always easily, if somebody wanted them in separate files, I could make that happen too, or you could just put it in Mesh Mixer and split them up that way too. There it is. I could be. My stream health is not great, but my stream health never seems to be great. I don't know if it's a setting I've got somewhere or something. My stream health is always seems to be in the yellow. And I know it's not my internet because my internet is plenty fast. So I'm assuming it's a setting I've got somewhere either within OBS or just the computer itself not being able to keep up. I don't know. Oh, hi, Joey. I didn't realize he was under there. I moved my foot and I felt something furry. He's under the desk, laying next to my foot. So yeah, that's up on Thingiverse now. So anybody wanting to build the truck has a few options on the cab, and what'll happen is as versions 2 and 3 get tested, if they definitely turn out to be better than version 1, I'll just pull version 1 down. Sorry, Matrix. Like I said, I know there's something on my end because when I look at my stream health, it is in the yellow. So we did some iteration on the traffic barrier. What else we got? I know the thing Roy's waiting for. Roy's waiting for me to finish my my Jeep. But I need to re-engineer some stuff on the Jeep, and I mean, I guess we can take a look at that today. Because the original design was planned for me to use a printed leaf spring, but it seems like that would either need to be printed in a flexible material, or or you're just gonna have to, or you deal with it breaking, because my test pieces have all broke. So PLA is not viable. My only, but I was like, I'm gonna print it out and give it a try. But the piece that you see on the screen is this piece here, and the axle floats successfully in the axle carriage here, which the springs work until they break, of supporting the axle and springing it back. But it's I need to revisit what kind of spring, because the leaf spring is not working. It breaks every time. So I need to revisit the design of the leaf spring, or try a different spring approach. I was looking at what Ivan Miranda is doing for the springs on his tank, because he's 3D printing those, and I'm wondering if I can't kind of copy what he did for his springs. And get the same functionality without the braking. Y'all are being quiet this morning. Feel free to ask questions, make suggestions if there's something that that you want to see. Maybe we can go and try it. Dog. Up till 3 a.m. Working while listening. I understand. I understand all those things. I do. And Matrix is sitting over there buffering, so he can't talk. So yeah, this spring design is not viable. I tried it, and when I first tried it, it actually worked better. They were thinner, but they were so thin that I just didn't see any way that. And it's funny, the thinner ones seem to work better. There's a glitch in the Matrix. That's good stuff right there. So, yeah, I've still got sleep in my eyes. And today's the day it's back to work tonight. To start my show them what's going on. Good morning, sir. Welcome to this so far slightly uneventful stream. I got the notification that my Patreon to Walter went through today. Hide these. Hide the inner door panels too. And that is the old hinge that we don't need anymore. Just delete those. Slamming and jamming. Yeah, that's I'm curious to that as well. If using TPU, if the spring would flex but return to its shape, because I know And see, here's the thinner version of the spring. You can see the original design for the spring. It was thinner, and they actually worked better. The thinner spring, um, I wasn't breaking it as quickly, but it was eventually breaking. I would get probably 300 or 400 compressions out of those leaf springs before they would snap. And then the thicker ones, I was getting like 20 or 30 compressions out of before they were breaking. So it's always a iterative process doing something like this. I need to come up with a better solution for it though before and if I can't come up with a better solution, then I will just remove the functional suspension aspect of the design. I just thought it would be cool if I could, print out a like G.I. Joe style Jeep with functional suspension. They have functional suspension on a couple of their newer vehicles that I've got. I don't think I've got one sitting here handy. But the way they did it, it's injection molded plastic and it supports itself being compressed and popping back up much easier because they're using injection molded ABS. At least I think it's ABS by the smell it makes when you cut it with a Dremel, because I've done some modifications to a couple of them. So that would be interesting to see as well, Vince, if the springs could be printed in TPU, and then and then I would think if in TPU you definitely would want the thicker design like this. Anytime I'm focusing on one specific area and iterating it, I will move it to its own layer in Blender. Because you can see you can use different layers for stuff. Like here I was working on the roof and separating the roof out. So I brought this piece in here and then I cut it apart into its two separate pieces and drag them away because I was trying to cut it up in a way that I could print it on the X1. But now that I've got the A-Lunar A8, which, like, again, just rebranded A-Net, now that I've got it, I think I can print that as one piece now as well. The roof. Which I need to delete this seat. D. On the Y. Thanks, man. One thing I'm not great at though, I'm not good at designing like the turret guns. I don't like the design on them. I need to sit down and redo them. That's another thing holding me up. I want to change the design on those. I need to finish the articulating points for the turret. Once I finish the articulating points for the turret and get the suspension figured out, whether I'm going to be able to keep the functional suspension or if I'm going to end up having to scrap the functional suspension idea and just lock the axles in place. But I even have plans for some trailers and stuff like that to go behind it later. That's why it's got a trailer hitch on it. you can get a good view of the leaf spring design there. But like I said, the leaf springs aren't going to work because PLA is just too brittle when flexed multiple times. TPU, I'd like to try it, but I don't have any TPU or a printer capable of printing TPU. Well, I guess maybe the ANET would print TPU now that I've got it. I don't see a collab comment. You talking about collaborating on something, Sean? That'd be cool. So you can see right now there's something going on there that I need to address. Oh. Well, I'm down for that if you are, man. We can come up with something. Looks like I have something overlapping there. See, I've got a part overlapping here. That's why there's that jagged look there. So I need to dive into that and figure out why that's doing that. Nope, that made it worse. Yeah, Sean, we should get together and collab on something. I know you guys are better at designing weapons than I am. Maybe I could design a vehicle and you guys could arm it. You know, Slug, I just sit down and wing it, man, most of the time. 99% of the time, I just sit down and wing it. I just, you know, I would be a lot faster probably and better at it if I planned things out on paper first. But I don't, man. I just sit down and I start building. Good morning, David Olson. Thanks for joining us this morning. Planning is overrated, right? Yeah. No, yeah, I don't ever plan. Good morning, Red Light. Yeah, I don't plan anything, and I just sit down and I start modeling. I mean, this is the very first model that I made that we're looking at right now. When I after I downloaded Blender and started teaching myself the differences between it and 3D Studio Max, because that's what I was, what I had came from. I was used to using 3ds Max, and so I was like, well, I need to learn this program. So I sat down, opened it up, and just started designing. And this is what I came up with. Now, there's a lot of things I'm going to change about this design because I like the way the wheels turned out, functionality wise, on the MVS trucks better. And this was an um, early design that I don't like as well, where the hubs are a separate piece. Because the hub then won't turn with the wheel. Yeah, I haven't used 3ds Max since 2002, and that was the version the last version that I had was from around there. I tried installing it on my current machine, and for some reason my current machine didn't like it and wouldn't even open it. You running your crane today, red light? He's sitting in a crane. Don't run out of gas. Or did you fill up recently? They need to get you a functioning gas gauge on that thing, man. Because every time I'm talking to you, you're like, it's starting to, it's starting to bog down. It's probably out of gas. Hope I make it. You need to get you a gas gauge. Let's see. So no, that's going to be a fun one when I get it done. I just need to just decide, you know, if I want to sit down and spend the time to re-engineer the springs, or if I want to just sit down and re-engineer this piece to make it solid suspension and not worry about functional. That would be the easy route to go, but I'm seldom known for taking the easy route into anything. the and that Jeep that you see right there, once I got, you know, the body panels where they were at, it was easy to stretch it into a four-door version and a limo for VIP detail, VIP protection detail. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about just making you know, uh, just like you would make a shock, where it would be like a tube and a peg that goes up in it, and then a retainer clip where you would just clip in a regular like spring that you could pick up from a hardware store or source out of a pin, something like that. Um, and that might still be a viable thing to do. I think the plan for that to try that would be I'll just go up to Home Depot and buy a package of a few springs, and then sit down with my calipers and measure those springs, and then design the part to see if I can get away with doing that. Yeah, I was thinking like I was thinking the perfect material for the springs as they are now would be like that Ninja Flex Cheetah, the stuff that's flexible but still firm. All right, red light, be safe in that crane out there, brother. So yeah, I think like the Ninja Flex Cheetah would be perfect because it's a flexible yet still rigid material. John's not here, but he was in my music stream last night, which I appreciate that, brother. And then I was floored when Mr. Joel Telling stopped by. That was crazy and so awesome. Joel Telling not only stopped by last night to my music stream, but gave me a tip. It was a good night for tips, and most of the tips came from my 3D peeps. So big shout out and thank you to all of you that stopped in last night to the music stream and sent a few bucks my way, helping keeping me living here in Nashville, Tennessee, or well, I mean living in Clarksville, but working in Nashville, Tennessee, and supporting what I do. Yeah, yeah, Slug. I'm still only doing the music streams to Facebook, and that's because Facebook doesn't give a crap about uh, singing cover songs. They're not. They don't come crashing down on you because you sang a cover song and pull all your videos off and smack you upside the head with the copyright hammer. The only way to get away with streaming on YouTube would be for me to pull the streams down, make them not public as soon as they're finished. And, I think a lot of people don't get to catch these things when they're live. And so on Facebook, they can go back and watch them later. Um, because I usually end up with, quite a few views after the fact. Yeah, like my stream from last night has been viewed 493 times, and by the time next week rolls around, it'll probably have close to 1,000. That's the way it usually goes anyway. Scrolling down to see what last week said. Oh, last week's was when I was on vacation, so it was a little different thing. But no, anyway, usually have between 500 and 1,000 views on those music live streams, and I know that there's not that many people watching them, uh, watching it live. So I think a lot of people, you know, watch them after the fact, and if I were to do it on YouTube and had to take it down immediately, they couldn't watch after the fact. So good 3D Maker Kid, yeah. His beginner's tutorial, that 3-part tutorial where you make the little conduit, the conduit casing is fantastic. It's a great tutorial, and it taught me a lot. Um, I want to follow it. I want to go back and redo it once or twice so that I can, really commit the things that he's doing to memory rather than, having to go back and pause the video at moments and things like that. I want to be able to just do it off the top of my head. And so I'm probably actually going to follow that same tutorial over again. I could probably go back and do it again today and then give it another week where there's some time in between where I can say, well, I've slept since then. Get up and go through it again, and hopefully by the time I go through it like 3 times, the processes involved in that are the processes you're going to use over and over designing pretty much anything. So if I can go over them that many times, then it should be more committing it to memory and become second nature. I think you have to be invited, Sean, on the Friday night uh, hangouts. I think you have to be invited. I would love to join in with those guys sometime myself. Yeah, and I'm sure if, you know, somebody that they trust and want to hang out with, if you ask, they, you know, might send you the invite. But yeah, I think that's the way it works. I think it's an invite situation. I know the subject that it looks like the subject they're talking about this, is it this week? Is the company sending printers that aren't production ready to YouTubers, and they're going to talk about the gun stuff too. Because I know inside the community, those are the two kind of biggest issues that are floating around right now. And then I guess Timothy Hoagland is upset, saying that Creality's got a few printers that they're not sharing their source code on, the CR20 and a couple others that they're refusing to share their source code on. So he's reaching for the torches and the pitchforks again. Yeah, I don't get into politics. I'm the most apolitical person you'll ever meet. I haven't watched her videos um, lately. Actually, I think I've only watched one of her videos since she got the job with Creality. Thank you, Sean. So yeah, that's the limo version. There's also a truck version, and of course, if you got a truck, you got to have a crew cab. And if you got a crew cab, you got to have a dually. Which is what inspired me to start the MVS series of vehicles, was thinking about modular design and sharing parts across multiple vehicles, so that you design, you know, one thing, and then you turn it into several other things, and each one of those parts that you design is something you can keep and pass along to other designs. And so then I started thinking about the modular nature of it all, and how cool it would be to be able to um, how cool it would be to be able to um, share some of the base platforms of this with the community. Let the community design additional parts that then they could turn around and share with the community. And next thing you know, you're sitting down and you're going, okay, I want to print a truck, and I want it to have this front end, I want it to have this cab, I want it to have this on the back end, I want it to be this long, have this many axles, and you would short bed step side. I don't do a lot of military step sides, but I have seen a lot of military. Oh, and then I almost forgot. Where's the civilian version? Where did I put that? I don't know where it is. I have a civilian version too, but I apparently didn't save it in the right spot. Oh well. Tasty beverage stream. And then this is the other one that I'm excited to work on and get done. Which it was cool. I saw yesterday there was a military convoy loading up in Clarksville, getting ready to head out on the highway, and they had the vehicles that this is a futuristic rendition of. They're loading up for the convoy, and so getting to see those up close. They were all gathered in the movie theater parking lot here in Clarksville, and so my son and I had to drive by them and look at them up close. And so, yeah, I'm sure you guys have all seen the vehicle I'm talking about. I don't even know what that vehicle's called. So I don't know what the actual name for the vehicle is. I was never in the military. I don't know what the actual name for the vehicle is, but I'm sure you've all seen and probably know what vehicle this is based off of. Oh, you're talking about the Rolling Thunder. Yeah, you know, it's got a little bit of that vibe going to it. This version, which again, all my designs are modular and you can interchange different parts to make them something totally different. So in this incarnation, it is a uh, heavy equipment hauler, like a tank hauler. So you print the trailer, which would take some time because the trailer would be huge, and you could put tanks on it. This is the same model, just using some different parts from here back, and it is an like armored personnel carrier. So I still have to build interiors for all these, but other than building interiors, these are pretty much there, ready to go. So that's on my list. Short list is to build interiors for the APC and the hauler. Which I've got. Did I put it on a different layer? No. Is it in a different file? No, that's not it either. And that's not it. I don't know what happened to it. I had other trailers and stuff. See, I lost some stuff when I moved my files from the old computer to the new one, and some of that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then the one I was trying to fix yesterday when I was talking to you guys on Discord, and ended up having to just scrap everything I'd done and start back over. The one I was trying to fix was where's it at? It's under frames, I believe. was this, and I'm still working on trying to fix it. And this is I'm calling it the MVS Micro series. It is based off of this little Iron Man go-kart, which seats a G.I. Joe. So it's about that size and scale. So means a printer, even the size of my ANET should be able to print like the body as one piece. But I had a problem with some vertices that were out of place inside here, so I actually deleted the panel here and was trying to clean it up. That's the tough part about trying to clean something up that's inside the model, is sometimes you just can't see it to clean it up. But every time I would apply a subdivision surface modifier, which is what you do when you want to smooth something out, because what I'm going to do is apply a subdivision surface modifier, which will get rid of all of the squared off, like faceted looking areas there, and make those smooth. And so I was trying to apply that, but every time I did, I was getting tearing in the wheel well. And so I started trying to diagnose why I was getting tearing every time I would apply a subdivision surface modifier. And then I found inside here there were some vertices that were all messed up. And while it was trying to compensate for those in the subdivision surface, it was causing tearing throughout the model. Which the design of this little micro eraser is loosely based off of Wheelie from Transformers G1, the little orange race car, little orange futuristic race car. So that's what I was trying to do, as an homage to Wheelie, that a G.I. Joe could sit inside of. That would be similar in size and scale to this little Iron Man go-kart. I think I'm going to end up having to cut this stream short this morning. I keep getting messages I need to deal with. So trying to clean that up. That's where we're at right now. Zimmy, how you doing this morning? So I think the problem I'm going to run into there is trying to get that. Drag that back in there. face there. Because see, now I got to see all this back up and make this manifold again. After I just ripped it all apart trying to fix that spot. And looking inside the model, trying to fix it that way can be tough. So I grab that one, that one, that one, that one. You have to make a face. Oh, don't tell me that's going to work. If that works, I will be very pleasantly surprised. Go to the 3D printing toolbox, check all. Non-manifold edges, 4. Check all. If I can get a good view of that one. I'm not sure what that even connects to. Hold on, let me just try something. Delete those vertices. Go back to that tear any holes anywhere that I can see. Check all. That did it. Oh my gosh. Alright, now let's see if that solved the real issue. The issue I was trying to solve to begin with. We go here, we go to subdivision surface. No, we're still getting that tearing. We're getting less of it, but we're still getting the tearing. You can see what I'm talking about inside the wheel well here. When you try to apply a subdivision surface modifier and you get an artifact like that, there is something somewhere that the software is not able to compensate for. There's something somewhere that software is not able to figure out the best way to smooth that out, and so it just starts connecting them to random spots throughout the model, and you get this tearing effect here. Because see, what I wanted to do was apply a subdivision surface modifier to it, and then we would smooth out the finish on the vehicle like that. which you can see that's a lot better than that. But I can't do that until I can get the subdivision surface modifier to work without tearing. So that's, I've been working on it and trying to clean it up, and it's still obviously got some problems. And the problems are somewhere around the wheel well. But they're not as obvious and apparent. Wait a minute. Point right there. No, it's okay. Because it connects down to there. It connects up to here. Sort of there. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. An artifact right there. You see that? You got a non-flat surface there that I need to deal with. Okay, so I got to figure out why it's doing that, or what's causing that, and I think that'll solve my issue there. Delete that vertex and just see. So that spot right there is the problem. I'm not sure how to clean this up. I may end up having to just cut the whole front end off of this and redo it. It might actually be easier than trying to fix this. Here's one thing we can do. We'll copy it. We'll go to a new layer. We'll paste it. Hit 3 to go side view. Let's delete all that. Let's delete all that. We'll try to clean it up by connecting it all back together. Not that one. That one. Later, Sean. Have a great day, man. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm selecting the edges, which I think I now see what was causing my tearing right there. And I'm hitting F to create a face. And now that I'm doing that, I think I see what was causing me my issues. So first I'm going to go ahead and make this face. No. Going to vertex select, I'm going to select this vertice. And this one. I'm going to look at them from the front view and in wireframe. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. I'm thinking. Trying to analyze this, and because I see some stuff that's wrong and I don't know how to make it right. Alright, one thought for now is forget it and just finish closing this up and see if I can't fix it after the fact. So selecting faces that you are selecting edges that you want to create a face between. Select the edge across from it. Hit the F key, it creates face. Select that edge across from it. The F key creates face. Now that should have sealed up the inner tub there, the passenger compartment. Now I got to seal up the outer. Hmm. I foresee a problem there. You guys are all being quiet today. I know most of you are at work and whatnot now, and I'm not nearly as talkative as I should be when I'm doing this design stuff, because I get focused in and then I start forgetting about you guys. I'm sorry. Or forgetting about talking to you guys. I get like laser focused on what I'm doing. So the problem I'm seeing right now is, so I don't know what I did to create this problem, was I don't seem to have, I somehow seem to have more vertices than I should in the front clip here. So I'm going to do something drastic. Drastic times call for drastic measures. I'm going to do something drastic. We're going to select all of this. Nope, not all that. All this. How about all this? Leave that piece. Let's delete that and see where we're left. Okay. We still got where we started earlier. So we're fine. We're fine. Don't panic. So I'm going to select just these. And I'm going to back into my side view here. I'm going to extrude them. So I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to press Y to constrain them to the Y-axis. Do you see how the little green line lit up when I hit Y? And I'm going to eyeball it to where they're close. All right. So then we're going to patch here. We're going to patch this to there. Selecting the one below, the one above, and hit F for face. One below, one above, F for face. Below, above, F to make a face. Okay, now we've got something a little cleaner to start over with. And all the stuff you see me when I'm just hitting a key and moving around like this is the number pad keys. 1 is your front view, 3 is your right. So front view 1, right view 3, top view 7. Your number keys. Easy enough. Alright, so we're going to try and clean this up further before we start extruding it again. Just get it a little closer to being in line. Because cutting it off the way I did abruptly is going to cause us some issues probably if I don't line things back up a little bit better before, just a little bit. I mean, they don't have to be perfect, but far from it actually. But we ended up in this mess because I had created a bunch of artifacts somehow. And this goes to show you, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. But that's the beauty of it. You know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You have to redo some of it. That's it. You know, it's not scary. You just lost a little time. You lost a little time, but if you go back and you redo it, and you learn from your mistakes, and you go back and you redo it, and you redo it right, you're better off for it anyway. Still not here. John's still not here. Oh, John, cool. Yeah, I just got your direct message. I will do that, man. I will do that. Sorry. It was a long night last night. Or a short night. Long night of being awake, short night of being asleep. There's definitely going to have to be a nap in my future. All right, so I think we're coming together with the body coming together a little cleaner than it was before. So now we're closing that in. Oh, starting to see where I might have gotten into my problem before. Okay, let's see if we can't fix this. See where it lines up there. Nope. Quit grabbing that one. Finish the box part till you make a kid. Cool, man. Yeah, Lars's tutorials, man, they're great. Oh, sorry, head. I need to just slide this. This whole thing forward a little bit, give myself a little more space to work with. Oh, wait, need this one too. Now, there we go. Gives me a little more space. Alright, so we've now got the front end reconstructed. Gonna have to re-detail it all, add the headlights, and kind of shape some stuff a little bit. But that got rid of the problem with the area that was tearing because there was some poor problems with things lining up right. What I'm doing here is I'm holding down Alt and clicking on the edge. When you hold down Alt, it will select all the edges that are connected to that one. And I'm hitting Shift E to create a crease. That way when I apply the subdivision surface modifier later, it won't smooth that. It'll keep that a sharp edge. So the edges that I want to keep sharp, the ridges of the design, I will select them by Alt clicking on that edge. Hold down Shift, hit E, drag your mouse out until the line turns dark, that kind of purple, and that creates a crease. So now, just out of curiosity, before adding the wheel well back in, we'll add a subdivision surface modifier, and we'll see that I see no tearing. Crank it up to like 4. So you can see we're adding the creases, kept those lines sharp. So it'll look better. It's nice and smooth. And then I go to print that out. Those will stay like sharp creases, and then the rest will be smoothed out. We won't have the little facets from being too low poly. There's still some adjustment to be made here. But I figured I'd show you guys the payoff for today is that we're to a point of where we got a nice smooth looking surface now. When we do a subdivision surface modifier, there's no tearing. I'll have to be careful when I cut the wheel wells through it, because I think that's where I got off track last time, was when I cut the wheel wells in. It messed up. Oh. Appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. Hope I didn't bore you too bad while I was doing all this. And, I know sometimes I didn't explain as I was going as well as I should. But so we see the subdivision surface modifier makes things smooth. We get rid of subdivision surface. See, until I apply that, it's a non-destructive method of modeling. That's the cool thing about modifiers in blenders. They're totally non-destructive. All I did was remove that modifier and I'm right back to where I was at. Now once you apply the modifier, it becomes permanent and can't be undone. But the same holds true with any modifier on here. You can mirror modifier, and it's a totally non-destructive thing. You just click the X and make it go away, as long as you don't apply it. When you apply it, that's when it's permanent. Which I think I don't think 2 is going to be. You can still see the facets pretty easy there. So we're going to subdivide 3. I think 3 is going to be enough. So you still got a little bit of faceting though. 4 is much smoother, but it is going to make the file larger. We'll go with it. 4 it is. But yeah, unless I click that apply button right there, it's a totally non-destructive methodology. So it's let's see where I'm at here. Hey Fernando, you showing up here right at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's Fernando Pena. Okay, here I can show you the example of, I was talking about adding creases. I forgot to add creases around the area where the hinge mounts. And that's going to need to stay structurally the same. So, I can show you this as our last thing today. It's okay to select that because it's already got a crease on it. So you can see the effects of the crease. Okay. So I've got these, and I need that one selected. Select that one. Hit Shift E, drag that out, and now that prevents the crease prevents the subdivision surface modifier from smoothing that area. So Shift E, so you select your spots you want to make your creases, Shift E and drag your mouse out, and now the spot that's going to structurally be the hinge doesn't get smoothed because we don't want it to be smoothed. Until I get that wheel well cut back in there, it looks like a boat. Looks like a little speedboat. So we started with, save. We started here, which I need to shorten it because obviously it's longer now. need to shorten it back up. We started here, and we were having tearing every time we tried to do a subdivision surface modifier. And like I said, I'll have to go in and move some vertices around. But we no longer have the tearing because I deleted the front clip there and reshaped it, and now it doesn't have tearing. I need to just copy this again, bring it back over here, and paste it in. Then I can take this one, grab all this, we'll scale it along the Y a little bit, slide it back, right about there. Hide that one. There. Now we're back in scale with the other one. So now I can go in. Next thing I'll do is I'll work on that spot right there so it doesn't quite pinch out so bad. And I see some spots that should be creased that aren't. So I will select them, Shift E, and we will crease them. There. See how that sharpens that bottom corner back up? So we cut the wheel wells through, fix the floor pan after we do that, which I think is where I got off base last time, was doing that. And yeah, this one's almost ready to go to Thingiverse, really, because I've got the axles, the wheels, the frame, the canopy, all pretty much where I want them. It was just the body was giving me those fits while trying to smooth it out. So now that I've redone that, I think we'll be ready for this to be on Thingiverse next week. Oh man, Fernando, if you were here earlier and you saw me messing around and screwing up all sorts of stuff, you wouldn't say that. But yeah, so it's a couple minutes after 10 here in Tennessee. Yeah, it's kind of got a rocket sled thing going on, doesn't it? Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate y'all. And I'm sorry today's episode was a little on the bland side. We'll try to do something more exciting next time. But thank you guys for coming by. I appreciate y'all very much. I'm going to go get myself some breakfast and then maybe lay down and take a little nap before well, I've got a honey-do list to do too before I got to go to work this evening. So God bless. Thank you guys for stopping by. As always, we'll see you. We'll see you in the next one, and we'll see you in everybody else's streams. And thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all. And if you want to support the channel, links are below. But you know, I don't do any of this for that. I just do this because I enjoy doing it. I hope you guys enjoy coming and hanging out with me. And I'll talk to you later. We'll see you in Mike Whaley's stream tomorrow. And then again on Monday, I guess, and then Walter streams in the evenings, and we'll see you on my channel Tuesday. Later, guys.